While this may not have been the year for a hopeful and optimistic message about our future, I still remain hopeful and optimistic about America.
We are doing something very radical in American politics. We're telling the truth.
The fact that I've even come this far is evidence of how special America truly is.
But we cannot go forward unless we deal with the realities of American society today, and that is what we are going to do.
Once upon a time, the young, dashing Cuban-American descendant with the winning smile was what the future of America was all about. A perfect success story and a rising political star. Also, once upon a recent time, the often disheveled, amusingly angry, lifetime public servant was also the future of what America was all about. An overnight success story that took more than 40 years. This is what the millennial generation would have had us believe until today, where reality has the look of a worn-out Guayabera and a neighborhood with no kids to cut the lawns. What happened? Our guest is known to millions as the Libertarian Chick, author of the new book, Government Gone Wild, How D.C. Politicians Are Taking You for a Ride and What You Can Do About It. Kristin Tate, joined by veteran political commentator, senior project manager at Hathaway Strategies, and author of The War on Millennials, Pete Seat. I want to thank you both for joining us, so let's go ahead and get to work. Kristin, there it is, a simple, what happened? Marco Rubio was the guy.
Look, Ed, I still believe Marco Rubio is the GOP's best hope at really grabbing the millennial vote in a primary. He just didn't play well with the, I meant to say in the general election. He just didn't do well in the primary. So now we have Donald Trump and Cruz, and these two are really going to have to make an effort to reach out to the huge, untapped millennial voter.
But let me get in there
block.
again a little bit more, Kristin. Again, what happened? He had everything behind him. You got people here saying that he made a huge mistake by not having local offices, by not getting on the ground, by not doing the things that candidates know you need to do. If he was so popular and millennials were so thrilled about this guy, how did he then go bust so badly?
Well, you got to remember, Ed, this election is a little bit unusual. People, including millennials, are really fed up with political insiders. It's very cool to be an outsider in this election. And Marco Rubio reeks of establishment, whereas you have people like Bernie Sanders who are doing very well with millennials because he's new, he's exciting, he's an outsider. So I think being a political insider and being an establishment guy really hurt Marco Rubio with not just millennials, but the general electorate as well.
All right, Pete, I'm going to throw it to you now, and let's get to Bernie Sanders here for a minute. Wait a minute. With all due respect to Kristin, I see him as nothing more than just a political insider. I mean, the man's never held a real job in his life. Okay, maybe one for about 10 minutes. He's mostly lived on the public dole. He has taken public tax money. And here he was, all of a sudden, the guy the millennials were thrilled about. And then after what we saw happen on Tuesday, come on, Pete, he's toast. What happened?
Well, there's nothing new about Bernie Sanders. Maybe not a lot of people have heard about him before, but he is as old as the day is long. There's certainly a segment of the millennial generation that finds his Oprah Winfrey-like you get a car message to be appealing. But ultimately what happened, going back to the Marco Rubio thing, what happened is that millennials are falling down on the job. We are allowing our parents and grandparents to drive this primary process. We are the largest generation in the history of this country right now. We outnumber baby boomers, and we are not putting together our collective political muscle to get the job done. We are letting others mortgage and ruin our futures. And quite frankly, I'm angry about that.
Hey, Kristin, I'll tell you what, Pete throws the gauntlet down there pretty hard, basically saying that millennials, it's your fault. You didn't do the job. You're still sitting in mom and dad's basement having a Red Bull somewhere.
Look, I mean, the bottom line is that this election is about mobilization. And so far, the GOP has not done a good job at mobilizing voters, young voters. So being cool, being hip, appearing as an outsider, appearing as someone new and exciting, it's all about messaging, okay? Bernie Sanders may actually be an insider, but he has been a genius about messaging in a way that gets young people excited and makes them think that he'll bring something new and fresh to Washington. And that's what the GOP needs to do. Trump and Cruz, if they want to appeal to young voters, they need to prove to millennials that their ideas will offer hope and prosperity. Their ideas are better for our generation, and ultimately that the Democrats offer them nothing but more of the bad economy, more of the bad job market, and really just government dependency.
Hey, Pete, 33% of Bernie Sanders supporters say they will not vote for Hillary Clinton. That's out of the Wall Street Journal poll. Is it possible we're looking at a spot where left millennials could turn right come November?
Possibly, but I don't see that happening if Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. I mean, millennials are welcoming, open, and diverse, and there is nothing welcoming, open, or diverse about Donald Trump. I think Hillary or Trump are going to have trouble galvanizing the youth vote and inspiring young people. The key word to what was just said earlier is ideas, and that is, even though Bernie Sanders' ideas are crackpot, he's at least attracting attention with ideas. And that's what Republicans have not been doing up to this point. The debates have been a circus. Millions upon millions of people are watching these theatrical productions, but not hearing any ideas and not seeing any results from the Republican Party.
15 seconds, Pete. Trump versus Hillary in November. Who do the millennials vote for?
I think millennials stay home. I don't think either one of them is going to get millennials interested.
Kristin, 15 seconds to do. You're nodding your head, but isn't that what you're supposed to do? Get out and vote? What's that going to prove?
Well, I agree that if unless Trump can really prove himself to millennials, I agree with Pete that a lot of millennials are going to stay home. But I do think this election provides the GOP, whether the nominee be Trump or Cruz, with an excellent opportunity to reach out to millennials, because Hillary's not a very cool candidate, as Pete pointed out.
I like that.
So
I like the way you said it there,
opportunity
Kristin.
for Trump to reach out to millennials.
You nailed it. She's not very cool. There you go. That ends it all. Kristin Tate, Pete Seat, thanks so much for joining us. Stay with us. The fastest 60 minutes in news. The Hardline continues right after this.